Okay, so let's talk about Graziella. Um, in her OPEX body assessment, we saw 61.8 kilos with a height of 1.57 meters. In terms of BMI, she she's more on the overweight side of the curve, right? Her body fat percentage is 27%, which is still within the normal realm, but as said previously, on the right side of the curve, right? With a tendency to go towards that. Now, upon further questioning and relating this to the initial consultation, we saw that there's a tendency to increase her body weight, her body fat, as she's eating in the same way as she did when she was more active. Uh, in the time previous to the quarantine, to lockdown, all of this virus, she actually trained 5 times a week. She had a full time job, and all of that changed. However, her eating habits didn't. So that's one of the main issues she has. She didn't lower her caloric intake, but she did lower her activity throughout the day. So that's one of the things that we'll take into consideration when addressing this topic. She said she was leaner, she was more athletic, even though she right now doesn't want to change that. She doesn't want more activity throughout the day. She doesn't want to go to the previous rhythm she had in during the day. However, her activity throughout the day is really low, so that's one of the things that we should address little by little. Um, as one of the priorities, as well, and will be one of the priorities in program design. In OPEX Move, what did we find? Okay, in the scratch test, we saw lack of internal rotation on the right shoulder more than on the left one. She reported tension on both shoulders, and there is lack of shoulder flexion on the left side compared to the right. So there are a lot of imbalances between both shoulders. Um, we actually we actually contrasted this to the findings on the overhead squat and and the side plank, which needed to be stopped as the right shoulder and the left shoulder, both shoulders started hurting at some point. So there's stability in the instability in both scapulas. So that's going to be one of the priorities in program design. We'll talk a lot about scapular stability, scapular drills in general. Probably going overhead is not going to be an option, so we'll go from horizontal to vertical push. um, and that was one of the biggest notices in the OPEX move assessment. She she needs to work on those shoulders. Um, in the air squat, she actually reached full depth. She told me that that's one of the things that she has been working on for the last few years. She has a lot of training experience, but she has difficulties maintaining an upright torso, and it's not really due to core endurance issues, but mostly because of ankle restrictions. She has always had troubles with dorsiflexion, with the dorsiflexion of the ankle, so maybe that's one of the things that we'll need to address. She actually has a really good mobility, a really good patterning in the posterior chain. She has never had troubles with deadlift, but she has with, for example, the front squat, right? Again, this is due to ankle restrictions, so maybe she has been loading the posterior chain more so than the anterior chain, at least in the lower extremities. So maybe we'll focus a lot on quads strengthening as the difficulty to move, to translate the knee forward is limited. uh, this was actually proven also in the lunge, when she has her right leg on the back, she feels discomfort on the anterior tibialis. Further proving that there's actually tension on dorsiflexion, right? She can place all the weight just on one foot as dorsiflexion is limited, and well, actually showing restrictions also on that area, right? uh, on the front plank, she has difficulties maintaining protraction. She felt a lot of tension on the traps and work on the rectus abdominis, and a slight pain on the right wrist. I wouldn't be too cautious about the wrist, but it actually, I think it originates in the scapula, the shoulders, which again it has been something that has come up in all of the OPEX move assessment. Um, the tension of the traps on the trapezius actually caught my eye, as maybe some postural issues may need to be addressed. Her shoulders are not that rounded, but her head has actually translated a little forward, placing a lot of tension on those straps. She has been doing CrossFit for a long time, and that lack of shoulder mobility has actually created compensations right here when doing a snatch and doing any kind of jerk motion, push presses, and whatnot. So those straps are on fire. Her head positioning is actually not helping. So we'll need maybe to release the tissue here on the SMCs, create some movement around that head, but obviously working first on the base, which would be the scapular work. On the reverse plank, we also terminated the test after 41 seconds, as the hands went numb. There wasn't much circulation going on in those arms, as you know, the tension on the traps actually limits scapular retraction. She has the strength, she needs the endurance, she needs positioning, so a lot of scapular work again. Also, we notice in that reverse plank that there's external rotation of the hips, um, no, not a neutral position, feet pointing forward. So that external rotation of the hips may need to be actually further analyzed to see how her hips are positioned, um, because that will actually give us some pointers as to how the squat is going to look. Eh, and finally, the OPEX work portion of the assessment, she scored 56.8 calls at an average RPM of 44. And she told me that her strategy was to go up by 1 RPM per minute, starting at 42 RPM, which obviously couldn't be maintained for long. She felt more work on the arms rather than the legs, which leads to thinking that there's a lack of overall strength. She actually felt good. She told me that she felt good at the end of the assessment, and she had the strength to speed up on the last minute, which which actually showed she achieved a max RPM of 61. She's not that tall, she's not that heavy, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But according to this score of 56.8, we could work a lot on strength capacity, strength work, strength endurance, and power in an overall sense. She has great endurance capacity. She didn't break a sweat throughout the 10 minutes. She recovered after a minute or so. She could actually speak. Her breathing didn't change throughout the whole minute. Sorry, the whole 10 minutes. So aerobic capacity is not something that I would be too concerned with her. She knows how to pace herself, but she has troubles going into the pain cave. She doesn't have the strength to back up a lot of power output. So strength work is going to be a must in that program design, but we will need to work a lot on habit building, as her reading has changed and she's really comfortable with it. So program design is going to be really a lot of discussion between me and her, because we need to adapt what she needs and what she wants right now. So maybe we'll have to start slow, maybe with 1 or 2 sessions a week, because we don't really want her to give up on this. And as soon as she thinks this is difficult, maybe she'll back up. So we will need to be really careful with the volume, and create changes little by little. We're going to be really progressive in the way that we make changes with Graciela, and hopefully it will work out for the best. A lot of communication is going to be vital, and well, that's it. In summary, we'll work on food hygiene, food habits. Definitely we'll focus on life. Fueling is out of the question. In OPEX move, we'll work on those shoulders. A lot of mobility, high time under tension, isometric work. And in OPEX work, I think we'll focus first on strength, and leave aerobic capacity used as a recovery tool for those days to increase activity throughout the day.